I'm going to teach you how to lock into Primo from the Heelside, the Toeside, and the side, as well as some beginner practice steps to help you get there. Let's do it. Before learning this trick, it's recommended to know nothing. That's right, there's no requirements before learning this trick. I just realized there is one requirement, and that is that your trucks are the correct size. You see, if you have your trucks too long compared to your deck, it's not going to balance. So your board setup really matters. And I guess another requirement for Primos is to do it on a hard surface. You got to do it on concrete, or what I'm doing here is synthetic grass. Otherwise you just won't be able to balance the Primo. Alright, let's start with the toe side Primo. I put my feet evenly spread apart over the bolts, and my toes are just hanging on the edge of the board, and there's a whole lot of pressure on my toes. Then I bend down and I spring slightly up, and I roll my ankles so my feet are pointing to the ground, and I slightly lift up. You don't want to, there's a key core principle for Primos, and that is you want to keep your feet really close to the board. So you don't want to lift them up too much, but you want to lift them up just a little bit. Stay in contact with the board, barely lift them up just so you can get on top of the board, but keep your contact with the board, because that's going to help you stay in control. And then once you land into your Primo, just keep your feet on top of the wheels, but you're leaning your weight onto the deck. When learning this Primo variation, it's recommended to hold onto a fence or some sort of railing so you don't fall and kill yourself. Wow. Okay, alright, let's talk about the Heelside Primo variation. I consider this one to be the more consistent Primo trick there is. Foot positioning, the front foot is hanging off of the board and your back foot is hanging off of the board in opposite directions, just like you're seeing on screen. Let's talk about the front foot. So most of your front foot is hanging off the board. And for this trick, you want to imagine that your front foot and the board is just one entity, so you're like linked together. Your front foot doesn't move away from the board. So if the board moves, your front foot moves with the board. You are just one solid entity. As you can see on screen, my foot just stays connected to the board. Now for the back foot. You want your back foot to be on the edge of the board, and it's really hard to put your back foot on the perfect spot. So you got to wiggle your back foot lower and lower till you get it to the right spot. So that's the first thing you got to do, is wiggle your back foot. And from here, you're just standing on your tippy toes and you're putting all your weight onto your toes. And then you just spring up and your front foot and your back foot work together to make the board rotate backwards. And that's how you do it. Obviously, once again, you can hold onto a fence to break the fear factor. But a good thing about this Primo variation is you can uncommit with the back foot if you're scared of slipping out. So you don't actually need a fence to practice this one. Now for the side variation. The correct terminology for this trick is the tailstop to rail stand, but the side variation just sounds kind of goofy, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Just because I left this one till last doesn't mean it's the hardest. In fact, all of these variations are equally easy. It just depends what feels more natural to you. Like, everyone's gonna be different. Once again, the foot positioning for this variation is completely different. So you want to have your back foot in a pressure foot position, and in the pressure foot position your back foot is digging into your back wheels. Your tail's obviously touching the ground, and then you just spring up and jump onto the board. Now for the front foot, we put the front foot in a very similar spot to the toe side variation. However, since the board is bouncing on the tail, our foot is more on the wheels than what it is on the deck. As we lift up for this trick, we keep contact with the board with our front foot. That keeps the board in control. What makes this trick good is you can take it at your own pace, so you can easily step off of the board and gradually just increase the speed to make the trick look better, just like you're seeing on screen. And those are 3 unique Primo variations that you can teach your grandma to do. And if you want to learn to do some tricks while you're in Primo, click on this video right here. But if that video is not there, then that's just foreshadowing for my next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.